Hello, welcome to video 8 about photosynthesis. And I have a little buddy here that really wanted to say hi. And before we start, I would like Elio to get the videos ready and show them now and then again at the end of this video. Thanks. Thanks for reading the previous slide. What do we need for respiration? We need sugar and oxygen. Where do we get the sugar and oxygen? What produces it? Well, we get it from plants. Plants use light and carbon dioxide with water to produce sugar and oxygen. This process is called photosynthesis. The sugar for structure, you should remember from the lesson about macromolecules. It is C6H12O6. You must know that formula. This sugar is used for the growth of plants, but also food for animals. Cellular respiration is done by both plants and animals. This slide shows the cycle of photosynthesis and cellular respiration. Together, cellular respiration and photosynthesis powers life. Photosynthesis nourishes almost all life, either directly or indirectly. Without photosynthesis, most ecosystems would collapse. People and almost all other animals would not survive. Remember autotrophs? Auto means they make their own food. And what do they use? They use the light. They make their own food from light energy. Which organisms do this? Remember back to the previous lessons? Plants, many protists, and some bacteria use this reaction. They use oxygen. However, there's a group that uses sulfur instead of water in the equation for photosynthesis. Plants are adapted for using the sun to make food. They have very thin leaves so that the chlorophyll can penetrate. They have a waxy cuticle, though, on the leaf and on their stem to prevent water loss. They have these structures called stomates that allow for gas exchange. Or in English, I would call it stomata. This is on the lower side of the leaf, the underside. They open to let in carbon dioxide, and they release oxygen. Where does cellular respiration take place? It takes place in the mitochondria. Where does photosynthesis take place? It's a different structure called chloroplast. There are many chloroplasts within each plant cell. We can find 500,000 chloroplasts per square millimeter of leaf. Chloroplasts consist of these three structures: stroma, granum, and thylakoid. Don't confuse the word stroma which is a dense liquid, 4 stromata, which are those structures that release gases. The stroma is the fluid that fills the inside of the chloroplast. The granum is a stack of sacs called thylakoids. The thylakoid membranes contain chlorophyll, which is green. Chlorophyll is the molecule that actually traps the light energy. So where is chlorophyll found? It's found in the thylakoid membrane. We need to understand the structure of chlorophyll. This will help you understand your crops and how lack of some minerals or nutrients could affect them and cause disease. Where is chlorophyll found? In the membranes of the thylakoids. It consists of a carbon skeleton with a magnesium atom. Please pause for a volunteer to read this. When sunlight hits a molecule of chlorophyll, electrons are excited to a higher energy level. Remember the lesson about the electron sphere and the ball that needs energy to be placed on the highest step? This is why we learned that. Think of the sun as placing the electron on the highest or the top step. As the electron descends the steps, it releases energy. Here is the electron. As it descends, it releases energy. This energy is used for the photosynthetic reaction that produces sugar. Why is the chlorophyll green? Because it reflects the light in the wavelength that looks green to us, which is at about 525 nanometers. Chlorophyll absorbs these other wavelengths and uses that to excite the electron to a higher level. Photosynthesis requires 2 steps. The first is the light reaction, which takes place in the thylakoids. This is what makes ATP, and it energizes electrons for use in the second step, which is called the Calvin cycle. The light reaction needs water, and it releases oxygen. The Calvin cycle needs carbon dioxide, and it produces sugar. Here again is the details of that. The light reaction uses sunlight in the thylakoid, and it needs water, and it takes ADP, adds a phosphate, and produces an oxygen and ATP. The ATP is used in the next step. The ATP is used in the Calvin cycle, which needs the carbon dioxide to produce a sugar. You don't need to know any more details than that for this class, but in your future classes, you probably do need to know the details, which are in the following green slides. But for the sake of time, you do not need to stop at those green slides. In review, photosynthesis uses the sun to make sugar. Plants use about 50% of the sugar for their own cellular respiration. Remember that cells of plants also need energy for work, for growth, for reproduction, to make seeds, etc. Plants use much of this sugar and turn it into cellulose, which forms their tissues. Cellulose is probably the most abundant substance on Earth. The remainder of the sugar they store in their roots, seeds, and fruits, which we eat to get our energy. When we eat the sugar and breathe in oxygen, we call this cellular respiration. You absolutely need to know these two equations for your exam and for the rest of your life. Please review these questions and make sure you understand the answers. Please pause the video and discuss this question. Can we keep our plants inside our houses at night? Please watch the videos again, and if you have time, watch the last 8 minutes of C'est pas sorcier, the tropics. And me and my dog friend, who's playing with his toy, says goodbye.